What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, CryptoKindness. My name is Jeff. I'm super excited to be here today because I am bringing the man, K4K Crypto. He seems to have really become the voice to go to on PulseX, and I'm super excited to have him here today. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for doing an interview with me today.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, Jeff. This guy is hilarious and he has awesome stories to share.
That's kind of you, especially if we're talking about monkeys, right?
Yeah, that's such a cool story. Yeah, he's got the Costa Rica shirt on.
I do. I felt like I had to do that since that's when I was talking to you last.
Awesome.
So how was your Christmas, man?
It was great. Spent some time with the fam. I've been so busy with the videos and stuff, and now I got to actually take a few days off and then hang out with the family, and we got to talk about somehow like how well some of my videos were doing, and my parents are all proud of me. Feels really good.
That's
And
exciting.
really good food to eat. So my
Yeah, you
dad's
said your
like,
dad is like enjoys being a cook and wants to be a chef when a
yeah,
personal chef. That's so cool.
yeah, that would be like his ultimate dream, is to be like a personal chef who just gets to use the best ingredients and make the best food, because he is an amazing cook. So we
That's
would love
cool.
to have him cook for you.
Now, is he in on Pulsechain and PulseX? Maybe he'll be able to
Oh,
give
you
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 business.
bet he is. You bet he's in on that. You think he's not coming along for the ride?
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I got a
So
lot of different family members getting them in. So
that's cool. That's cool. So, well, let's jump right in. The PulseX sacrifice is live. It went live last night. There's a lot of excitement and chat happening. I got a lot of questions. I sent out on Twitter today that I was going to be interviewing you. What questions do people want? And the number one question was, how old are you?
I just leveled up to 26 earlier this year. So
Leveled up. I love it. That's a great way to
yeah,
put it.
so 26. Yep. So we got Bally at Brand. I think he's a little bit younger than me. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
I'm like second youngest or something streamer. Don't know, but
That's
something like
awesome.
that.
And
That's
you're an
pretty cool.
OG Hexagon, right? Day one?
Yep. I used to have videos up on my channel about it. It's from December 19, 2019. I made videos getting people to use my referral link to get into the adoption amplifier. And I hope those people held, because they probably made mad gains learning about it. The best video I had only made like, it had 200 views. So I think like I got shadow banned by YouTube because the three videos I made after the first one all got less than like 13 views or something.
Oh,
I
no
don't know
kidding.
why. Yeah, so I was like, oh, well, this isn't worthwhile. But
Right.
I did get like several referrals from those videos, so that's pretty cool.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So at 24 years old, you got into Hex. So
Oh, I guess
I,
that is true. Wow, time flies.
yeah. So I would love to hear your story. How did you get into crypto? At a young age. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm 43, so maybe it's easier at a young age. Are you considered a millennial or are you a Gen Y?
I don't pay attention to that stuff. I have
Nor
no
do you
idea.
care, right?
Like, why would I? Oh, do I want an extra label to throw because someone else decided that's what this age group is? I don't care.
Nice.
I
Good
don't care.
point. So anyway, the
But
important story. How'd you get into crypto, man?
well, I've always been into computers, and throughout while I was working in a where we were repairing computers and all of other types of electronics like phones, taking those apart, all the little parts, figuring out like they were different returns, all Amazon products that would
Okay.
come in, and we were repair techs and we would repair the stuff. And so you're taking off the screens, you're removing all the screws, and you got to put it back together after you order the right part and put that back in. So it was really fun, actually. I really enjoyed it. Um, it was so fun just figuring out, because each one was a little different problem,
Mm-hmm.
and you had to be smart about which things you check first and what you change, because you can change one thing, and if you ordered that part and that wasn't it, you just wasted all that money. So yeah, we had to be pretty good at that. So that was fun. But as I was ending working there in like 2017 or so, I found out about Bitcoin in like early 2017 or so, and I saw the price had gone up to like 3K or something, and I was like, wow. And then a few weeks or something later, it went up to 5K, and I was looking at it. I was like, wait, this thing, why is it going up so fast, so quick? And then it drops down to 3K, and I just started doing all my research on Bitcoin, And eventually did so much research after like a week or two. I was like, you know what? I have all these savings. I'm investing in this. That's what I'm doing because this is crazy. I was like, this is actually going to change the world. Able to, no bank can stop it, and you can send it anywhere around the world. So I thought that was really cool, and I liked how you actually had control over your own money because I had never, if you're not moving large amounts of money at all, you never really have to deal with banks that much. Banks are just kind of where you let your money go from where you work, and you never really transfer it around. So you never had to deal with a bank asking you what are you using this money for? What are you doing with that? Who's this you're sending it to? It's like, that's my money. Why are you asking? That's rude. so, so whenever I was just trying to wire the money to the bank, to wire the money to my exchange, they're asking me all these questions like, who is this? And why are you sending it? We have to put it in this memo. I'm like, don't ask. Don't, just do it. That's your job. But luckily that my bank allowed me to. Some banks, they just tell you straight up, no, we're not letting you move your money how you want. Okay, well, then we need this Bitcoin more than ever.
Exactly.
So that made me even more sure of my plan to get into this stuff because of like the actual power you had over it. Then I got into altcoins in 2017, made a lot of money, and then you lose a lot of money in the bear market because the biggest thing I learned that I remember was, hey, if you don't sell at a loss, you don't lock in the loss.
That's right.
And so I was like, oh yeah, nice. Even though I rode this up, like I didn't take any profits, super, super lame-o. But luckily I had made so much that I didn't like lose everything. It just came back down to kind of where I was starting with. And I was like, oh man, if I would have just cashed out at the top, everyone thinks if I cash out at the top, then you can buy all this more. Anyway. So then 2018 bear market, oof. In 2017, I also heard about Richard Hart.
Okay.
So I watched all of his videos. I saw the Roger Ver debate. That thing has like 500,000 views, so that's pretty cool. And he was just right about so much stuff. He also called the 20K Christmas months ahead of time, and he was doing like 8-hour live streams, and I'm just watching the whole thing because that's what I'm doing, I guess. And it was so interesting to hear someone who has such vast knowledge about the stuff that you're into. Why wouldn't I want to know this stuff? No one else talks like this guy. Everyone else is the price, but the price could go down, could go up. He's just like, yeah, price drops 85% every 4 years. It's probably gonna happen again. No one else is saying that. You're like, what? Right. It looks so bullish. What's this guy talking? Oh, he was right again. Oh man. And when someone's just right over and over and over and over again, you just start going, yeah, I'm gonna default. That's probably correct. And then I'll wait for evidence that not being the case, So learn a lot from Richard, and I read his book. So that's kind of how I got into crypto. Long-winded, but yeah.
So the multi-million-dollar question is, did you hold on to that initial Bitcoin you bought in 2015, or did you sell?
Oh, I traded it all.
And maybe you don't answer that.
I traded it all for altcoins at the time because Bitcoin doesn't go up very much. It's just silly. And it was weird because at the time, Richard's talking about how altcoins they're rat poison, they're terrible, and Ethereum's junk. And I'm like, but it's just going up more than Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of them do go to zero. But it was just this weird disconnect from what he was saying and what was happening. And eventually he changed his viewpoint too. He's like, oh, these things actually, if you want to make more money, this is the way to go. So Bitcoin's great and all, but 10 minutes for a transaction at best is kind of trash, and Ethereum's just better in that regard. And it also price performs better. You can do more on it. It's better.
Which takes us to why we're here today. PulseX, Pulsechain, the whole Pulse ecosystem. So you have put out a few videos recently that have been very well received. And the one, I think the first one was maybe the fastest coin to 10,000x, which, wow, that's amazing. So, I mean, let's get into that. 10,000x. I've got a lot of questions surrounding that. I'm still a newbie myself. I just got back in June. So I'm going to ask some questions that might not be very well welcomed by the Hex community. But hey, there's a lot of people out there thinking the same things that I am. So a couple of thoughts that are going through my brain right now that I'd like to kind of hash out with you. A lot of people missed the Pulsechain sacrifice. So I feel like there's more financial energy coming into PulseX, knowing that the buy power is essentially the same. The dollar gets you 10,000 points straight away. The bonding curve is actually longer. I think it's 47 days or something like that. It does allow for a larger financial input to the system. So I can imagine a scenario where there's going to be maybe 300 trillion coins by the time this is all said and done. How does something like that do a 10,000x? It's mind blowing. So help me walk through those thoughts. How's that possible?
Well, the total supply doesn't really matter because it's going to start at such a low price. So it's able to still climb extremely high, because what really matters for price appreciation is how much liquidity is there in the pools and how much buying is there in relation to that liquidity. So if there's just a lot of buy pressure and low liquidity, the price can just go way up, way up, way up. Now, one of the reasons that Hex was able to do a 10,000x is because we measure it from like the bottom of after it dipped a lot. And so it can get this huge X return, which is interesting because PancakeSwap did the same thing. And that's why it seems to have done so well. Like I talk about how it did 230X and everyone's like, yeah, 230X for PulseX real quick. But we may, there may be some FUD that comes out and people dump their PulseX or Pulse early, and then we get the low dip and then we ride up forever. But I know for a fact that PancakeSwap had an exploit early on, and that's why they dumped for like the first 5 weeks, and they dumped like 80% or something.
Okay.
And so that since they were able to dump so hard, they were able to, if you bought the very bottom, you could have that return. So I do think PulseX has an awesome chance of doing a 10,000x just because it will grow as DeFi grows, and we've seen its growth be, I don't know if it's exponential, but 8x in a year is pretty good.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Overall increased volume, that's pretty amazing. And I think more and more people are learning about crypto and its potential, and more money is coming in every year, not less money. So
agreed.
That means we're onboarding the world, and that is all potential buyers. So yeah.
So you just said something that I've been questioning for a while. The Hex has already done a 10,000x. For somebody that simply went to the charts and said, well, no, it launched at 0.003 and today it's 30 cents. That's not a 10,000x. Is telling everybody that Hex did a 10,000x, is that misleading? Is that bad for when we're trying to onboard people? This is something I look at and scratch my head often.
It depends what you're trying to do. Like if someone's like, what did the majority of people buy it at? And that's what their return was. It wasn't 10,000x because majority of people didn't buy it at the exact bottom. Very few did. Not very much volume there. So, but we don't usually measure things by the average buy-in price. That would be an interesting metric. I should probably look into that, see what the most of the volume was. And you can't tell where people sold, but you can see where lots of buying was at a certain price, I guess, for a while. You can be like, well, majority of people bought around this price range. And so majority of people at that price range probably got this amount of return. So that would be interesting, but it's not misleading because you can just look at the chart. Yes, someone could have gotten a 10,000x is what we should say, I guess. Someone could have. Somebody did it. The price did that though. It's on the chart. You can see it. So it's a good marketing technique as well to be able to brag that, hey, he said it was going to do 10,000x,
and it did.
It did it. So boom.
It just sounds like when you hear it's going to do 10,000x, I mean, it's an easy assumption, and assumptions are screw ups, but it's an easy assumption that means from day one, not necessarily after a huge dump. So from day one Hex to today, it's 100x, which still fantastic, but quite a bit different.
Yeah. 100x is a lot less than 10,000x.
Yeah. So in our conversation today, maybe let's focus on what we think PulseX can do from launch. There might be a huge dip. There might be a better buying opportunity later. But for what's important to the people that are sacrificing today is what's it going to do from launch? What do you think about that?
Oh, this is something I almost measured for, what's it called? A pancake swap, to see before it's like major dump. If I just measured from kind of, but it's weird because their launch price, their candle is like, it's way down at zero. And someone bought it all the way up and then it went down, but not as far as that guy bought. So do you actually measure it from where it was way down there? And then it's like a 10,000. I don't know. Because that guy, somebody bought it up from zero. So
that's true, because it launched from zero essentially, and the same thing's going to be with PulseX.
Right. So yeah, the market is just going to be the ones deciding what is this thing priced at, because what we paid doesn't mean that much. That's just what a lot of people paid for it. If people value it way less, maybe it goes down at the start and then it goes up from there. Or it could never go below, like, because who's going to sell it? Because the PulseX people, it's a little bit different than Pancake's model, where people are getting all this new tokens and they're just getting it kind of for free for messing with other coins, having nothing to do with Pancake. They maybe don't even care about it. And so they're just happy to sell it for yield because other people value it. It's not going to be the same way for PulseX, because it's all distributed at the start to only the people who believed in freedom of movement. so all of these believers who believe in human rights, they like lots of money, I'm assuming. So they're not going to sell it for like no money. Why would they sell their Genesis allocation for less than they paid for it? I don't know who's doing that. If they do that, I'm happy to buy it from them, dude.
Yeah, right.
Like, I tell people this: if you see on launch day that the price of PulseX is $0.0001, aren't you just going to buy the crap out of that? Like, that looks cheap to me. That's what everyone else got it for. And no one else is probably going to be selling it that low. So yeah, I think it's gonna, it's just weird. Cause like if there's any sort of FUD or something crazy comes out, we could see a dump. If there's some good enough FUD. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't see why people would sell below unless a lot of faith was lost in the project, you know?
Well, there's no shortage of silly people out there, and you can't fix stupid. So more than likely somebody will at some point sell for less than a sacrifice price. But I agree with you. I mean, I assume you're going in pretty heavy on PulseX. I'm going to do the same. I have no intentions of selling for minimum a year because I don't want to pay anything over a capital gain or short-term capital gains.
Yeah, it's like you're chopping your profits in half and stuff if you sell it within a year. And do you need that money now? Do you really need 10x your money right now, or like 100x? You got to pull it all out? No, just keep increasing your buying power over time. It compounds. You just you just keep crushing it more and more and more, instead of, like, if you want to be wealthy, you have to think like a wealthy person does. Do you think they're just buying PulseX so they can sell it in a week? No, they bought it and they're literally out on the cruise and they forgot about it. They come back in 10 years and they're like, oh, I can buy another one.
Look at that.
like that's what they're doing. So do what they do. You buy and you hold. Richard held Bitcoin for, I mean, he didn't get it at a penny, but he probably got some sort of multiples, thousands of X's, and he's holding, you know?
Yeah. Now you just said something right there that I want to pause and just kind of highlight. You said, do you need to get your money out in a week and a half or a month or 2 months? If anybody's watching this and you need to do that after a month and a half, you're probably sacrificing money you can't afford to lose. And what's really important in cryptocurrency is, at the end of the day, this is a casino. These projects have merit. Yeah, there's an abundance of information that suggests that the world is headed this way. Today, it's a casino. So do not put in any more money than you can afford to lose. Imagine that as you sacrifice it, you just put a match to it and it is gone. So I just want to give that public service announcement, because I know people that have done this with money they can't afford to lose, and then they lose their mental well-being because they're just looking at charts all day because they need to get their money back. And I don't want anybody to do that. So sorry for that public service announcement, but the channel is CryptoKindness, and I want to make sure I'm giving good information out there. So, so let's get into, I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, you never want to go all in It's just a forget what betting strategy it is, but unless you're what is it? Well, you never want to go all in because if you're wrong, you're starting back at zero.
Right.
And starting from zero, as opposed to even like 20% of what you had, is infinitely harder. So don't
Yep.
don't ever all in. I'm not going all in on PulseX just because I think it's going to do really well. I'm going to keep some in some other coins and Hex mostly, but yeah.
Agreed. So we just talked about the sacrifice. Another question I got a lot of is help me understand the multipliers. There's a lot of confusion around the multipliers. Is it better to do day one, or there's this thing at the end that you get a 1.7x, 75x multiplier? I'll just wait till the end. Who gets the 2 times multiplier? A lot of the newbies that have reached out to me say, I don't understand these multipliers. And you just showed me a great chart. Let's bring that up and maybe you can walk us through that so others will understand the multipliers better.
Oh yeah, for some reason I can't see myself during this, but that's fine. Can you hear me and see everything?
I can.
Okay. Can you see my mouse?
Your mouth. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. I should have made it bigger. But so this is how the initial sacrifice. Now this looks like a bunch of crazy numbers and everyone's like, why is there bright yellow in my eyes? Well, if I'll lead you through it. So these are the first best days in the original Pulsechain sacrifice. All right. And we're going to have this till January 9th, the best rate, which means you get 10,000 points per $1. And you're not getting this rate, which makes you get like 5% less, 10% less, 16% less. So even if you have you're the lowest multiply, like you have less volume, and volume just means like dollar value that you're sacrificing. So
Sure.
if you did around 100,000 in the last sacrifice, you got a 1.5 ish multiplier on your stuff. So you actually got 15,000 points per dollar. So you're actually getting more for your volume. Now, if you did $1, you still got 10,000 points per dollar, which is really good. Some people think, oh, but I get this bonus of 1.75x if I do it on the last few days. And so they thought, oh, I'll get like 17,050 or something like that, which would be weird because that would mean you'd get more than the guy who put in $100,000.
Right.
The thing is, it doesn't work like that. It does multiply your stuff by this bonus, but that's after you get hit by this huge cut, which almost reduces your initial amount by more than half. So that means after you get this bonus, you still do worse than the first days, even for the lowest volume multiplier. So if you put in $1, it's still better to do it on the first days than it is on the bigger bonus day. These last days are pretty much, it's kind of just if it's the day after, what's it called? Like if you see these day 6 right after the rate starts hitting you, it's actually better, unless you have a huge volume, to do these last few days because you get such a bigger bonus. But as soon as you start getting volume, like if you even do 20K, well, then the day after the rate goes up is still better than waiting all the way to the end.
Sure. But that's where volume comes in. So for the small guy, $1,000 is better spent on days 1 through, I think it's 12, January 9th, than it is at the very end, even though there's this bonus multiplier. And the reason for that is because there's a bonding curve. And what the bonding curve is after January 9th, your rate goes up 5% a day. So the first day it's 1.05 coins per dollar, and then it's 1.11 coins per dollar. So it just becomes, no, I got that backwards. I said that backwards.
Yeah.
I just took a great explanation and made it really confusing. Wonderful.
No. You want me to show them how bad it is to sacrifice for Pulsechain right now?
Yeah. Because I think that'll give a good highlight as to what the bonding curve actually does.
So the way Pulsechain, not PulseX, how that sacrifice went is he allowed people who sacrificed even after the last day to still get some pulse for their dollars, but at at the continued rate each day. So it's still getting worse each day. So if we scroll down here, these are the continued days. And so see how much worse it gets. This is per dollar in this column. And we are at day, wow, we're just still going. We are at day, what is this, 30th? So this is the 30th. You are getting 4 pulse for $1.
Wow.
A 4 pulse instead of 10,000 pulse per dollar. So this is I think this is the multiple of how bad of a rate it is compared to the first day. So it's a 2,000, you need a 2,843x to break even with the guys who went in on the first day. That means
That's amazing.
That's a bad deal. You don't want to start
Yeah.
off against a 2,800x, you know?
So take us back up, to that screen there. And now let's go over to the right at the top where it says, 1.8x, 1.7x, all the way up to the 2x's in the first couple of days there. That's a whole nother bonus multiplier. Talk about that for a minute.
All right. So the people who are putting in like millions of dollars or, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, they're getting these multipliers that are increasing their points, because each point is what actually gets the multiplier, and it goes down per point. Not like if you're the top sacrificer, not all of your points get the 2.5x. That would be a lot more. What happens is only like each point gets the first point of the top sacrificer gets the 2.5x. So then that one would become like 3.5, or I guess it'd be 2.5. So the first point's worth 2.5. Well, it'd be 25,000 for that point. And then the next one is worth slightly less. It's 2.4999999 on the next point, and on down the list per point. And so what we noticed for the last sacrifice is, I think over here, does it show it? Here we go. So the guy who did 10,000 or so, or 10 million, got like a 2.3 multiplier, volume multiplier.
That was the weighted multiplier after it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So this is like a super awesome chart. It has so much information. So
yeah.
If people like that stuff, they can ask for it, and I'll share it with them. If you're in the game theory chat, I don't mean to plug my stuff, but
please do.
In t.me/pulse theory, we talk about game theory stuff in there. It's not for support questions or anything. Some people fall over into there from Pulsechain. They're like, oh, no one would answer me over there, and over here it's less busy. Well, yeah, that's the point. We only talk about like the higher level stuff. If we just help everyone with support, it becomes support chat, and the people who are already there don't want that. So,
right.
But we do share special custom made spreadsheets and stuff so people can figure out the best information, and just interesting stuff. Like, this is interesting stuff. Like, if you don't have this chart, it's hard to make sense of that site, which I actually have over here. I don't know if you want to look at it. We got 80 million sacrifice.
Oh my gosh, already 80 million. How much of that is hex?
56 million of it.
Wow.
Wow, that's all taken off the market.
All taken off the market.
That's legit.
That price will be reflected. So here's another question. I'm glad you brought this page up. Thank you. I've received this question. What is the benefit to sacrificing hex over, say, USDC?
The thing with, out of all of these coins, the most or the least liquid one is hex. It's the lowest like amount of liquidity there compared to every other coin. And so if you were going from US dollars and you have to sacrifice something that isn't US dollars, because you can't do that, you could actually, depending on how much money you have, push the price up for yourself in that moment you buy it, and then you sacrifice it more so than anything else on the list. If you buy even if you buy $100,000 worth of Ethereum, you didn't move the price at all. And so whenever you go to sacrifice it, it's going to be the same price pretty much as before you bought it. Whereas if you sacrifice hex after buying $100,000 of it, you might have moved it up a couple percent, and you get a little bit more sacrifice points. And since a lot of people are doing that, since it's not as liquid as other markets, you're able to push the price up easier. A lot of people have been pushing the price up, and we may see more hex appreciation before the end of this early sacrifice phase. And so that means your hex is worth more when you sacrifice it. And so you get more points. So a lot of people are doing that. And it removes hex from supply because it's going to technically like the OA address, and they've never sold a coin. So you're effectively removing it from people who would sell it potentially to someone who has never sold a coin.
So. Gotcha. So I have two more questions on that. Number one being, does the value of the hex you sacrifice, is that locked in the day you sacrifice it? So for example, last night hex was up to 35 cents. If I had sent over 1,000 hex to the sacrifice address, well, today it's worth 32 cents. Did my sacrifice amount just go down, or is it locked in from the time it was received? Maybe you don't know the answer to this question. I don't know, but it's a question I have.
No, it is locked in around the time that you sacrificed. It's between 30 minutes to 2 hours. I've heard both. I think for the first one, it was 30 minutes, but who knows if they extended it. It's so that someone can't spike up the price right before they buy it. Like right as they buy it, they spike it up a huge amount, sacrifice it on the wick, and then it comes back down, and like there was no one else trading up there. It's not a real, the price wasn't really there. It was just there for a few seconds. So it's over. They'd have to keep it at a high price whenever they sacrifice it for like 30 minutes for them to actually get use out of that.
Perfect. So if I bought hex today and sacrificed it and it dropped 30%, this is just theoretical, then my sacrifice didn't drop by 30%.
That's right. You locked it in at a better price. So it's just think of it as if Ethereum's $4,000 and I sold all my Ethereum today, and now I have the US dollars. Tomorrow, if Ethereum drops in half, I don't care. I have the dollars.
Gotcha.
So
okay. So that's perfect. I appreciate you answering that question. Another question I have is, this question is maybe for the smaller fish out there like myself. There's a lot of talk in the hex community, especially the people that have been around for a long time, that sacrifice hex because it does good for everybody else. What if you're talking to somebody that has maybe a wallet that only has $5,000 in it? They've got half of it in hex, half of it in USDC, and they don't have the ability to, like, they just don't have the resources to add more money to their wallet and sacrifice more. So they have a decision to make. Do I sacrifice hex, or do I sacrifice USDC? And in this scenario, I would say sacrifice the depreciating asset. If you only have those two, you don't have the ability to add to it, don't sacrifice a coin that in 3 years could do another 100x, whereas USDC is, they're inflating that like it's crazy. I mean, they're running trillions off the press like they're flapjacks at IHOP on a Sunday morning. It's stupid. So
no, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. So there's two ways to think about that. Obviously, if you have the financial means and can drive up the price of hex, then sacrifice hex. But if you don't, sacrifice the depreciating asset, which is USDC, USDT, whatever you might have.
Yeah. Now, the thing I said in my videos in the past weeks leading up to the sacrifice was, back when hex was like 12 cents, I was always telling people it's probably going to run up leading into the sacrifice. And then every day since those videos, it's just been running up. So everyone who bought earlier, now they experience like a 200% gain, and that's more value you get to sacrifice. Now that the sacrifice has started, last time after the sacrifice started, it kind of humped a little bit that day, and then it tried to make a new high, and it never did, and then it went 50% until it was over, and then it ran up some more.
Which is a great question. I'm actually going to share my screen here because this question has come up and you led right into it. Let's look at the hex chart on when the last sacrifice was. So the question came in to me, what happens to hex after January 10th when when the bonding curve starts and the rate starts to go up? Just as you just said, here we go, back in 13th of July, this is 2 days before the sacrifice for Pulsechain started. We got a big candle up, day before, big candle up, first day of, huge candle up. And then to what your point was, K4K, is that it started to slowly drop off. And actually on day 5 here, which was the last day of the best rate. We got a big negative candle. It actually wicked all the way down to, my goodness, where was it? That was at 15, 16 cents. It wicked all the way down to 8 cents, which is, you said 50%, and then continued to bleed out.
Yep.
Do you see history repeating itself here?
I mean, one of the things about whale games is that once people eventually come around to what the whales are doing, then they kind of just don't do that anymore. It's like if everyone knows the optimal strategy, well, now it's not optimal anymore.
That's right.
So we could see a fake dump and then the real pump, and then they'd sell it down. Or it could be the same thing. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what's going to happen because
nobody knows.
Nobody knows. I think the best strategy is just to do some each. Like, obviously, if you only have $100, you can't be doing, I'm going to do 20% today, 20% the next day, or you lost half your money instantly. So if you have a largish amount, if you're doing like 10K or more, maybe spread that out over several days, because who knows, maybe we'll go 50% and it's a good thing you did half of your stuff at this price before it goes down. Or if you do half now and it goes up, now you still have half to sacrifice at a higher price.
Yeah.
You kind of do it over time, and you can split it up more depending on how much money you have, if it's worthwhile gas wise.
Well, the nice thing, one thing I'm really thankful for, and Richard for extending the sacrifice phase, is it instead of having a 5 days best rate, it's now like 12 days, which does carry us through a weekend. So those that don't have that much to sacrifice, consider Saturday and Sunday mornings, early morning, if you want to get up 5 a.m. or something like this, Eastern Standard Time, that's when the best gas rates are on Ethereum. So you can get more bang for your buck for your sacrifice. Now, continuing to look at this chart, it's interesting. As you see, the price is just kind of slowly bleeding out a little bit, and then boom, we get this big candle. Can you guess what that big candle was?
Well, it looks like it dumped immediately after that almost. I don't remember what that was.
3 days after. So this is the 1.75 multiplier. This is day 17 of the initial. Okay. So that's when, people stopped buying here because the rate was bad. And then boom, day 17, big candle. Immediately after that, a big dump again. So it'll be really fun to, hindsight.
That might happen again then. Yeah.
Hindsight is 2020, of course. It'll be interesting to see if the chart stays the same. I do want to give you and myself a little bit of a, what do they call, CYA, cover your ass statement. Neither K4K or myself are financial advisors. Yeah. This is not financial advice. Both of us are just speaking on, obviously, past events, our experience in the marketplace, and hypotheses. So please don't take this information to the bank, but use it to make the best decision for you by doing your own research. Come on, guys. You had to have heard that before. So, So with this being said, while I'm still sharing my screen, you mentioned something earlier about when I was asking the question about, for the sake of this video, let's talk about the price potential from day one, not bottoms. And you had said, well, I wonder what that was. Well, interestingly enough, I did a video on this, and I have that information. This is a screenshot from my video. So you can see two of me. Look at this. I got a weird face going on.
Yeah.
Whatever.
The YouTuber face.
So Uniswap, PancakeSwap, when they launched, Uniswap did a ICO at 26 cents. So we'll just call that the launch phase. It's very similar to what we're doing here.
Right.
It's all-time high of 44.97. That was 173x from launch. Now, Uniswap did go down below that, so that wasn't an all-time low to all-time high, but that was a launch to all-time high. Okay. PancakeSwap, that's a little bit difficult because you said, some people started to get it for free. Other people had to pay for it on day one, but that was a 31 cents launch. Did you ever look into the Serum token? I know you and I spoke the other day. I mentioned that to you.
No, I have a note here. It even says, can I show everything on here? Make a video about how to be ready for PulseX. It says Serum on there. I didn't check it out too much though. Their docs aren't very useful for tokenomics. It just says there's, if you hold a certain amount, you get trading fee reduction. It's like, all right, I don't care about that.
So I did this Serum comparison. Serum is a DEX on Solana because the thing that's not really fair about the first two is time and market, which you mentioned. Uniswap came out 5 years after Ethereum. and same as Binance and PancakeSwap. But Serum came out just 3 months after Solana launched, so it's going to be similar in terms of performance. And Serum did an IEO, initial exchange offering, at 11 cents. And then 18 months later, it had done a 122x. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it brings me to two questions. Question number one, and before I'm going to bring us back to just mano a mano here. Question number one, the information we have about PulseX changes the game. I can't say by any means necessary. I don't know why I just said that. Didn't make any sense. Anyway.
By any means necessary.
Yeah, any means necessary. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, that's how you.
There's no comparison.
You were gonna have a hex hat by any means necessary. That's why you got that big hexagon duct taped on.
We should. You know what? I would like to do. I want to get like one of those. When they put jelly beans in a jar, and it's like the first person that gets it closest wins. Whoever can guess what logo is underneath my hex hat will win 2 thumbs up. So anyway, what's your guess?
I don't know. I would say like a deer or something. Antlers.
No, not a deer. Not a deer. Good question.
Because it's camouflage. I don't know. Something with hunting. I guess.
Who knows? Maybe you'll never even be able to see it.
Maybe it's invisible. I don't know.
By any means necessary, I got a hex hat. I don't even know what we were talking about.
Serum did like 122x or something, and you were talking about
Uniswap did 177.
Oh, and how PulseX is totally different. That's what you're talking about.
So we can't compare them because there's some pretty sweet game theory behind PulseX, and this is where you get really excited. So lay it on me. Tell me about the game theory. Tell me why this DEX launch is different.
This is so awesome. So if you guys noticed in that last chart, if you want, you can pull it back up. But if you notice, there's initial price offerings, and then you see the opening market price. It's almost always like opened at 10x more. So we're the initial offering people. See the ICO, 26 cents, launch price, $2. Huh. Interesting. So I don't know if did it actually go back down? I don't know the chart, but
Uniswap
26, I don't know. Like for Uniswap.
Actually, all of them. So Uniswap, SushiSwap, and PancakeSwap all dipped below their launch price. Uniswap
launch price, yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I don't believe Uniswap ever dipped below its ICO price.
Did. I know for a fact it was never, because I was getting that airdrop as soon as it came out, and I was yield farming and stuff.
Okay.
At the time, and nice. I remember it being. I don't think it dropped below $1. It was.
I don't think it did either.
It got close, like it was $1.20 maybe, and yeah, and then we like wrote it up to like $8 in like a short amount of time. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, so we're the initial offering people. The launch price is what other people are going to have to offer us to maybe give up some of our bags,
Yeah.
And then there's people who are going to see, wow, they got it only at 10x the price of what those guys got it. I better get it before it's 20x. So that's where price discovery comes in, is people wanting a piece of this thing, which I speak of PulseX as you're owning shares in a company, and that company is continually reinvesting in itself by buying its own shares off the market, removing them from supply, and now there's less shares out there getting that buying pressure, because obviously there's less out there, less people can even hold it. So your piece of the pie is continually growing over time. You're never getting reduced buying power, unless the price of it was just dropping. But how is it going to drop when it's got automatic buying and other people buying? And people aren't selling this thing for a loss. I don't understand why people don't think it's going to do amazingly. We've added an extra buyer to the market. So,
which is just a bot, right? It's part of the code. It's going to buy itself.
And it's a huge amount. If you, per $1 billion of volume we get, it's $600,000 of buy pressure a day. A day. What, dude? We get all excited when Hex has like $3 million of buy pressure a day versus maybe like the $2 million of sell pressure. Then we get like this huge candle up. Well, we can be having 600,000 extra on top of all the other normal buy pressure, and it only scales up from there as we get more volume, as more people join the DEX universe.
So the protocol itself is going to be the biggest whale.
Oh yeah, I mentioned that in the one video. It's try competing against this entity that has infinite money because it's always generating these funds to buy more of it from its own platform. And so it's always just buying up the supply, reducing it, and your piece of the pie just gets bigger as you hold on to it. The company is just doing a buyback of their shares, and you get to experience that appreciation. You don't have to do anything. And people think that's a bad thing. Oh, why can't I stake it and make more? Well,
You don't need to.
that's yeah, it's just better.
You don't need to.
Oh, I bought it, I hold it, and it just appreciates. And people think, well, why will it? Because it appreciates, people will buy it. That's why.
Yeah.
Like Amazon stock, they don't have dividends.
No.
It goes up 32% a year. Why are people buying it? They can't choose what Amazon sells. They can't change the logo. You can't change the name of the company. You can't do anything as a minority shareholder.
Right.
Why does the price go up? People buy it because they think about the future potential of this company and how much service they're going to be giving to people. Well, if PulseX is giving this amazing service to people, which is the best exchange in the world, and that's just growing over time, and it's continually buying up its own shares, the price of it just goes up.
Just goes up.
So that's my analogy for, we're basically like Amazon, but we have automatic buy pressure. So
that's fantastic. I mean, that's so exciting. The one thing I really like watching about your videos is every time you say something you like, you laugh. You're like, oh my gosh. And it makes me laugh. Yeah, I mean, just like this.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
So fun. It's fun though. I mean, it's very genuine. Like, you're excited, and that's awesome. That's what makes it so cool, is to watch your enthusiasm, and you share
Thanks,
that,
man.
and you get everybody else amped up. And I'm amped up. And I don't know if I'm amped up because I'm excited or it's because I just drank way too much coffee, but I'm having a lot of fun, man. This is great. I appreciate it. So
yeah, thanks for having me on. This is awesome.
I've got a few more. I mean,
Yeah,
I think
go.
this is a great conversation. I'd like to keep at it. So we do have one Achilles heel, I believe. And this is the question that I don't think is getting talked about enough. ETH 2.0 comes out.
ETH 0.02. That would be hilarious.
0.02.
That's what we're on right now.
I feel like it, yeah, especially with these gas fees.
Yeah, you can't trade anything.
ETH 2.0 comes out and it beats Pulsechain to launch.
Well, we can't let that happen.
Is that devastating? Is that just like end game? Like no whammy, no whammy, no whammy?
It wouldn't. It's obviously not ideal. Do you want your competitor to come out before you? No. That's why we're doing it to them.
Right.
So we have reasons to do it because it's a good idea.
But they've got to know this is coming.
Sure, they're aware. It's one of those things where if you want to be a good company, you're focused on your own service versus looking at what the other guy's doing and trying to figure out what they're doing more so that you can like change what you're doing. You just got to be focused on what you're doing and make sure that's right. And if it is, the people will come. And so, yeah, ETH 2.0, like we're in a rush because we want to be ETH 2.0 to market. Because if we soak up a bunch of people and it's already super cheap over here, well, when ETH 2.0 comes out, we've already had cheap fees for a year, and we have all of your users. They're not hoping to go back because now they don't have like that big incentive to go back. It's not, oh, it's way cheaper over there. It's the same price over there. But they don't have all these, so it's not, but we still don't want them to launch first. And I don't think they will, because we're trying to get that minimum viable project out. And then once that's going, we can iterate and update things as we go to make it even better. But people need stuff now, not in 2 years and 3 years. Like ETH 2.0 is just delaying. They're probably going to delay again. It's also riskier. It's way different base layer code, which everyone's going to have to lose their life savings finding all the bugs. Like the Pulse chain is mostly the same code as Ethereum, but we changed how mining works. So
even if 2.0 launches, you don't think that's end game? It's there's going to be problems with it. There's going to be some hassles. They might have to fork it one more time.
Yeah, ours is better than ETH 2.0, even if it did launch.
Okay.
Like, you've heard Richard say they've lost over $100 million of people's funds because the way that if you don't have 32 ETH, you can't run a node by yourself. So you can't actually benefit from Like, and that's like, what is that, 150K or something?
Yeah,
32
it's
ETH.
crazy.
And so if you don't have 150K, oh, sorry, I guess you can't get yield on your ETH. Well, in Pulsechain, you can by delegating without any middleman. You're just like, yep, it's in the code. They build it better. Here, give me some of the transaction fees. And we're also deflationary. ETH isn't going to be deflationary. They're still inflating. It's going to be garbage. So we're deflationary. They're not. We have actual, what's it called? Permission, not permissionless. We can delegate our pulse to a validator node trustlessly
Yes.
without them having to, like, they can't just steal our pulse because we delegated it to them. Like, we can always pull it back. There's like a 24-hour wait period per delegated thing you do. But in Ethereum, here one sec. In Ethereum, the reason $100 million was lost because they're on the test net or whatever they're doing with some of these, they're testing out how ETH 2.0 would work. People sent their ETH to these people who said they were going to run a node for them, and they just exit scam. So why would you go over there when they don't treat you well? Like, they just didn't think about all this awesome stuff that Richard did, where he's like, we need to have this be in a decentralized way where you have control over your delegation. ETH 2.0 doesn't even have that. So
That's fantastic. So if you could help me a little bit again, I'm myself, I'm a relative newbie, and I know there's a lot of newbies that listen to my channel. Help me understand trustless delegation in layman's terms.
Right, those are
versus what you just said about ETH having to send them to you and all this type of stuff. So if you could maybe give me, I don't know how long that would take, 30 seconds, but just help me understand that.
So what that means is it's just like whenever you do trade with a decentralized exchange, you're not actually depositing your coins into someone else's wallet and they let you trade it. That's a centralized exchange. So with decentralized exchange, custodial, right? And so you're able to always have control of your coins, and you're just trading in and out of a smart contract. It's you and the smart contract, and never someone else has control over the smart contract either. And so no one else can actually withdraw your funds other than yourself. Only your key works for your coins, and you get your rewards without having to hope someone sends them to you. It's you giving them to yourself because it's you in the smart contract instead of a counterparty.
Gotcha. So when I delegate my pulse to, what is it called? A
validator.
Thank you. Will I still see my pulse in my wallet?
Well, it'll be in like the smart contract, I believe, that you can choose where it goes, and then it'll be to their set so that you can see that their total number and how much is delegated to them. And then you get your percentage of the fees based on your proportional value to the pool. So if you own 10% of the pool, then you get 10% of the fees or something like that. And then you can always just withdraw your pulse whenever you want, and they can never be like, you know what, I'm keeping the delegated pulse. They can't do that. There's just, that's not an option.
So then do I understand it as it's like staking to gohex.com, except for you don't have a penalty for removing it? It's like you've made a smart contract. You can go onto this website, type in your wallet. There you see your coins exist. And if I wanted to remove them today, I could do so without any fee.
That's right. I mean, you'd pay a network fee, but it's going to cost
you,
it's going to cost you 1/10,000th of a billionth of a dollar.
Nice.
that's how much a one GUI transaction costs on Pulsechain.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible! Is that cheap?
And and if Pulse is 1 cent, like, or not even 1 cent, it's If we're counting Pulse price as what we paid for in the sacrifice, that's how much it'll cost.
That's amazing.
Yep.
So these 40, I think I did a sacrifice last night. It was a $57 gas fee. Yep. I could have paid a 57th of a 100th of a penny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just said that out loud. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I think I said in the other video that we've actually unlocked all that money that goes to miners. That means that's money that people aren't holding up the value of a token that you like. So I added up all the money that has gone to miners in Ethereum for DEXs, like for DEX trading and all those fees using their router. And so it adds up over a year and a half. It's like $1.5 billion of
No.
economic energy that could have just been into coins. And so now people actually get to hold more coins over on the Pulse chain. You'll be richer over there because you didn't have to spend it giving it to a miner.
That's
And it means
incredible.
more volume. So that's
And
good.
it's more money you just kept in your pocket. I mean, that works
Yeah.
for everybody.
Everybody, it's just a better system. It's just a better place. Like, isn't it better if you go to a restaurant and all the stuff's cheaper? You're never like, oh, I wish it was more expensive here. It's just cheaper here. It's the same food. It's not worse quality.
Almost spit out my coffee. Yeah, I'm drinking coffee. I know it doesn't look good to have this big blue thing going up to my face, but I just got back from Costa Rica and I'm freezing. It's snowing outside. I'm in my basement. It's just like, oh,
yeah, that shock is crazy.
it's not fun.
When I got back from Hawaii, I was like, oh my gosh, it's snowing here. Oh
Yay,
no.
wonderful. So I want to jump back to one other question that I had for you. And I asked you this the other day and you said, I don't really know yet. I'm wondering if you gave this any thought. So in my video, this might be a good way to close this out because I want to be respectful of your time. You've been very generous already. And in the initial video, I said, Pulse Swap Sacrifice, should you go all in, which I'm going to name this PulseX Sacrifice Revisited with K4K. There's a little preview for you.
Right.
Anyway, the gist of my research at the time, and it was just based on the information I had, obviously things have changed now that we know more about the PulseX design. The outcome was that investing in the base layer chain yielded a better return in the long run than investing in the DEX itself. It's not 100% fair comparison for the Ethereum because that had 5 more years in the marketplace. Same with Binance and PancakeSwap. With Solana and Serum, those two were pretty comparable, and still Solana itself has outperformed Serum. So my question to you, which obviously I know you can't answer, but I would like to hear your thoughts on this. What's the better investment today, PulseX or Pulsechain? And I understand that you can get PulseX really cheap right now. You can't get Pulsechain really cheap right now. So does somebody go 50-50, 50% on the PulseX sacrifice and have 50% in their wallet to DCA over the first year as Pulsechain comes out? I'll stop talking. What do you think?
Yeah. Now, the time in the market is like one of the biggest things for figuring out, for like actually validating how well something is done. And so since these dexes haven't been around, for some of them are less than like a year and a half old, and they've still done these amazing returns, that is so promising for the future, in my opinion, because it's still being figured out. It's still so early, and a lot of people are not understanding the huge value of decentralized exchange and how now that the cat's out of the bag and we don't need these centralized exchanges anymore, owning parts of these exchanges it's like you get to be the house forever for the world's like commerce. So imagine owning a large pie or a large piece of this ever-growing pie of where everyone is going to be doing commerce in the world. That's where we're scaling to, and you can get large amounts of it now. Because how much of the revenue share of Coinbase do you get if you own Coinbase?
Nothing.
You get nothing. And they can only service people that are like in the United States or something like that. So they can't even go global. And there's less stuff to trade on the Coinbase. What do you have on decentralized exchange? Literally anything anyone wants to list. Literally anything. I mean, it is digital assets and stuff, but that's what people are spending their money on now. They like digital stuff. So eventually maybe we'll have like NFT trading platforms, and maybe that gets people, if like they want to spend money on that, we can maybe put that into the PulseX DEX or something. But even just all the normal trading between coins now, that's going to continually grow and grow and grow.
So it's like owning the casino.
Yeah, you own a part of the casino and it just keeps growing. So I don't think it's a bad idea to hold this for several years, just like the layer 1 is great and you need that. You're going to always need decentralized exchange from here on out. It's just a new thing that's always going to be around, in my opinion. We're not going to go, you know what? decentralized exchange, that's Beanie Babies. Like, no, it's never, it's not. There's no way it isn't, because it's just better. It's just better than having a, oh, KYC, AML. Let me show you my statements and can I please use my money? No, it's, I'm always in control. Straight from my wallet. It's more safe. You less likely to get hacked. It's not going away. It's only growing. We haven't, it's not like dexes are just trending down to the ground. It's, they're ramping up as well. And I think it's very indicative of what a lot of the big players are doing.
Mm-hmm.
They, like, as you saw, Solana, they're like, you know what, we're going to make our own dex. You know why? Because they want a piece of that pie
Right.
that is going to reach the whole world. Like, all the world's finance can. So I think since everything, like all the big players that want a piece of this decentralized pie, like even Binance was like, you know what, we'll make our own dex, even if it's like centralized. They call it a C dex. It's like centralized hybrid.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have an even more decentralized version that should perform even better because we have a better team working on it. We got the better code. We even have a bigger buyback and burn function that others don't, making our coin more rare. And I just really believe in the Richard Hart team, that they're going to release awesome stuff that like they have before. Now, is PulseX better than the layer one? We are going to have to wait and see. That's the thing is, and Richard says this, and so it's funny that because you do need the layer one. You need to have it.
It's the real estate that the casino's built on.
That's right. But the casino makes more money than the land it's on. You know, like the landowner doesn't, just because you have some of the land doesn't mean you're making all the money that is being created on the land. Good so point. The casino owner, like, because he talks about the value stratification and like how Netflix makes more money than the dumb pipe that delivers the internet to you. Like, they get no money and then Netflix gets all the money. It's because you can, like, the value is in decentralized exchange, in my opinion, versus just holding some of the coins that allow you to make some transactions, because you don't really need that much of it. But I'm not saying it won't perform, because it is deflationary. We haven't seen that before. That'll be really interesting. I still got to make a video on Pulsechain, like, awesomeness, because Pulsechain is awesome. Yeah. It's just that PulseX was coming out, and so I had to make videos about it, because everyone's saying, you know what, PulseX third tier, that's third tier Richard coin. And I'm like, just because you heard of it third doesn't make it third tier. Yeah, like, is chocolate worse than vanilla because you heard of it second? No. No,
that's an interesting example.
so I
really like the example you give about Tesla. I know you've said this on like 4 or 5 different videos, but it very much is relative here. I mean, PayPal, awesome product. Elon Musk, his first, right? You walked through it. I don't want to steal your example, but I'd like to hear it one more time.
Yeah. So Elon Musk, he started a few companies. So he started with PayPal. I think he had some before that, but we'll just start with PayPal because people know that one. $225 billion company. Wow, good job. That's really good. Then he made SpaceX, $100 billion. Did a little bit worse, but still pretty good. You probably wouldn't want any of his third company because it's his third one. And if it was the best thing ever, wouldn't he do it first? Well, it turned out to be Tesla, and it's a $1.1 trillion company.
Pretty good company.
So if you are picking things based on when you heard about them, you're going to miss out on the best thing, in my opinion.
I mean, it almost stands to reason that the third would be the best because of the lessons learned in 1 and 2.
That is right. You're 100%. I didn't say that, but that's so true. Yeah.
And we see that with the whole integrated whale bot, essentially. I mean, he's driving price performance
an
by
automatic buyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is interesting. I haven't fully fleshed it out, but I'll reveal it here.
Ooh.
So, Hart's law. So things paired with things they go in like the same direction. So if all of crypto is dumping, if you're tied to that crypto that's also dumping, well, you're dumping too. Same on the way up. So if Bitcoin's pumping, everything that's paired with that, it kind of pumps along with it. Well, if PulseX has automatic buy pressure, then that means everything that is a lot of liquidity tied to PulseX should kind of pump with it. So you want to be tied to PulseX because there's an automatic big whale buyer on that on that coin. So if you pair stuff against PulseX, it's just all right. There's always this guy who comes and buys that coin up on this side. So I'm glad I'm paired against it, and so I should ride up with it.
So would it be smart then, perhaps, for those that are interested in participating in liquidity to do a PHEX PulseX pair and a PLS PulseX pair? So if we essentially pair everything to PulseX, we could create our own Hart's Law.
Well, the thing is, there's still this thing called impermanent loss. And so I don't recommend, I mean, I don't provide liquidity for stuff just for that reason, especially in these things that pump so hard. Because impermanent loss means you would have done better sometimes just holding the coin that went up so well instead of splitting it, and then one goes up a lot. And if the other one didn't go up a lot, then you've been selling the one that went up a lot to get this cheaper thing.
Yeah.
And so you're actually missing out on all these gains that you could have had if you just held the one that crushed it. So I think a PulseX is going to be the one to crush it. And if you're in a liquidity pool and you're constantly going to be selling the thing that's doing the best, that's what it means. It tries to maintain that ratio of when you put it in the pool. So it'll sell the thing that does really well and you get less gains. So I don't recommend people do that. Although the reward token, it could be crazy. Who knows? You know,
that's a little bit more.
It gets really, really complicated for going over every strategy of what you can do. But like we know, I don't think Richard liquidity farms at all. I don't recommend people do that. But people will, because they're going to see the APY for providing liquidity and it'll be a high number in my guess. And they're just going to see that and they're going to do it. But I'm not going to.
They're going to chase riches.
Yeah.
And maybe lose the coin that ultimately does the best through impermanent loss. So the number one strategy in crypto is what?
Buy and hold.
Buy and hold.
That's easy.
So easy.
It should be easy. A lot of people.
It's not easy at all.
They don't know what to do with their gains. I tell people like I'm sacrificing for PulseX and I'm going to try and hold on for dear life.
I mean, that's so
like
what's funny
I need
is
to hold, dude.
There's so many people out there that don't even know what HODL means. Hold on for dear life. That's what HODL means. And that's what
I didn't even know that.
Oh, come on. You didn't know.
No, because that guy just spelled it wrong by accident. I guess he will put an acronym later.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, hey, look, I brought some information to you today.
There you go.
And we're done.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, Pulse launches, delegate it. Stake your PHEX. Do everything you can to eliminate the U factor of wanting to sell when you see a little bit of a gain or panic selling when you see a little bit of a drop. Hold on for dear life. Honestly, the best thing anybody could do is buy all this crap and then like do some crazy exhibition in the Arctic where you have no cell signal for a year. That would be the best thing anybody could do.
Yeah, that probably, honestly.
And then you could come back and be like, oh, I'm the greatest crypto investor ever.
And you go back and you buy Antarctica.
That's right. Because you liked it up there. That's too fun. All right, man. We've been at this for over an hour. I can't thank you enough for your time. This has been a great conversation. I've learned a ton. It's been a real pleasure to get to know you better. I do plan to stay in touch with you. You're a pretty cool guy, and I like hanging out with folks like you. So thank you, K4K. It's been an honor.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff. Do you want to, I mean, it's your channel. You should show your stuff.
I got nothing to show. What would I show?
Oh, your Twitter. I'm sure you have a Twitter and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, I guess I do have a Twitter.
Dude, you might as well, because I'm sure people want to find it and they benefit. It's not like they don't want to know about it.
You know what's funny? I got to look up what my own handle is. I don't.
What?
Yeah, so I'm kind of new to this. I'm not sure if you noticed that about me.
I have less followers on my Twitter than I do subscribers. I just passed like 4K and I just passed 3K 2 days ago. What's that?
I just passed 650 on followers for YouTube, and I've got 247 followers on Twitter, and it's probably because I don't know what my handle is.
Yeah. I don't know why. I thought I'd have more on Twitter than, but I don't know. A lot of people are liking the YouTube thing. So
all right, so my Twitter handle at Kindness Crypto, the exact opposite of what my YouTube channel is, at Kindness Crypto. I'm actually going to start a Telegram group so people can hit me up with questions, and I can then answer them in videos. but that's the only stuff I've got. I'm really here to just help the community. I want to help newbies. And I also, the whole idea behind CryptoKindness is I do want to celebrate those that are generous with the earnings that they've earned through crypto. For example, I'm going to do an interview with Rags to Riches Brandon.
Oh, he's amazing. In his
amazing
video.
guy. Yeah. And kindness is a lot more than just financial benefit. I mean, he has helped me set up my YouTube channel. So is Matt at Crypto Heartbeat. Those are great guys. His financial generosity, Rags, with the Christmas show he did.
That was awesome.
I'm going to be doing a lot of like feel good interviews, because I want to inspire people that, hey, if you're fortunate enough to make some good money in returns, let's give it back. Give it to people that are less fortunate. Do good things with it. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the goal of my channel, is to talk to people like you and help educate others out there. Help newbies, be polite and welcoming to newbies, and celebrate success and kindness from those in the crypto community. So, I mean, thank you for asking. I guess I do have something to show.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it. It was good talking to you, Jeff. And I want to hear more about those monkeys in Costa Rica.
Oh, man, absolutely. I'm going to go ahead and hit stop here, and then I'll chat with you for a minute. All right. But
sure.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. What's your Twitter handle?
Oh, Twitter.
Let's get you out there.
It's the same as my YouTube, at K4K Crypto. On the Telegram, if you want to join, is t.me/Pulse Theory. But you can go in there and read. It's open to read for everyone, but only talk if you have game theory stuff to talk about. Nice. Yeah. And the YouTube is it's K4K Crypto as well.
Cool. Well, this interview has been great. It's going to bring a lot of information to people making their decision. And the whole point is, together we win.